Welcome to the Meet Crete podcast, where we sit down and talk with people who make Crete run every day. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm one of the creative producers in the communications department at Crete Carrier. And today we're going to meet someone with a very important job in operations who makes Shaffer run every day in the Northeast and all over the country, keeping things moving all the time. Today we meet Cindy Turman. Hi, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks. Appreciate having me.
Absolutely. And I just found out something just before we got started we're going to get into because I had no idea. And that's kind of what Meet Crete is all about. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
So I was born in St. Charles, Missouri, and my dad worked for the railroad. So we moved around a few times. So I spent a lot of time in Abingdon, Illinois. And then we moved to Lincoln in 1990 and have been here ever since.
So I understand the two things I know about you are that you're a big deal upstairs and you make things work, but that you played college basketball.
I did. Yeah, I played basketball and softball for Nebraska Wesleyan.
Right here
In Lincoln, yeah.
Wow. Did you play the 4 full years?
Yep, played 4 full years for both sports.
Wow.
I really liked basketball more than softball. Softball was more of a let's keep in shape for basketball, and I enjoy softball, but definitely like basketball more. So
you were on a scholarship, or
nope. At that time, they don't do athletic scholarships, so it was my love of the game,
passion. Yeah.
Yep.
So
sure.
Yeah, and you got to be. And I've got a couple of student athletes in my family, and it's very, very difficult now. I can't imagine what it was back in the day when you didn't get a whole lot of support. You can get a lot of free shoes and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, none of that. So yeah, it was fun. If at a different level you have those niceties, but I played Division III basketball, so it was fun. I enjoyed. I got a lot of playing time over those 4 years, and probably still hold a few records there. Hopefully.
Did I hear that you're in some kind of Hall of Fame, are you not?
High school. So I went to Lincoln High School here in Lincoln, and it was probably 3 years ago I got put into the Athletic Hall of Fame. I played basketball, softball, and I did track in high school. So
good grief.
Yeah.
You're busy. And then you got to keep your grades up on top of all that.
Yep.
That's got to be hard.
Yep. And in high school, definitely was a scholar athlete. I was a good student at Wesleyan as well. Obviously to continue to play basketball, but
kind of have to be there anyway,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Wow, that's really impressive. Have you dragged anything that you learned from being part of team sports, either in high school or college, into your work life at all?
Oh, so much. And I'm a very competitive person, and that a lot of that comes from playing competitive sports my whole life. But just that teamwork and being able to rely on other people and how you motivate others and how you deal with those highs and lows, it all comes from sports, in my opinion. You deal with some very heartbreaking losses, and you deal with some very high, fun wins, and it's kind of like trucking. You've got your real highs and lows, so it's helped me tremendously.
I should say, I didn't do this from the outset, but you are the vice president of operations for Shaffer Trucking.
Correct, yep.
So, I mean, your every day is all about teamwork, right?
Yes. Yep, from cradle to grave is kind of what we do. So from the time we get a load to the time it delivers and everything in between. So anything and everything that can happen from when we get a load. So, whether a driver oversleeps or a customer wants to make a change or they have some weird demand that we need to meet, that all happens in our department.
It's amazing when I'm upstairs and I ask somebody a question and they don't. You should ask Cindy. I get that a lot. So you must be busy all the time. Let's go back a little bit before you got to Crete. What kind of track were you on in college when you were playing basketball and softball?
So I got my degree in psychology, as everybody going into trucking does, right?
Sure.
So I got my degree there, and I actually was an intern here when I was in college. So I interned in the pricing group for a couple of years. And then when I graduated college, they offered me a full-time position in pricing, and that's kind of where I started my career here.
And how long have you been here?
So I've been here 23 years.
23.
And then probably another 2 on top of that I interned, so like 25 years.
Well, yeah, it all counts. So quarter century.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
So you haven't had any other career aspirations since college or anything like that?
I've moved a lot with this organization. I took a job. I was on site at Church and Dwight in New Jersey for about 5 years, and then I moved and I ran a Walmart DC for us in Sterling, Illinois. I did that for a couple of years, and then I moved to Minneapolis to be on site at General Mills. Did that for 3 or 4 years, and then came back to Lincoln maybe, it's probably almost 10 years ago now, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. And then I ran our strategic account group, so kind of our top customers. I did that on the Crete side for a while, and then I've been in this position probably the last 9 or 10 years.
I did a video, I want to say like a year and a half ago, where we basically talked about people internally and how we look for people inside of the family to be able to move up. And you're definitely part of that group of people that you started at the very bottom and worked your way up.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I was afforded a lot of opportunities. I took advantage of every opportunity I was given. I think that's important to do, to be able to put yourself out there and trust, have trust and faith in the company, which I absolutely did. And it's treated me very well. It's been a very, very fun journey. I've learned, just when you think you know something and then you get put into that situation and, everything's different than what you thought. So I've taken so much from every opportunity that I've been given, and every job I've had with Crete is giving me some new skill set that I didn't have before.
Here's something I'm interested in. Whether you're an intern or you're working in Illinois or Minneapolis, what's different about those places versus working in the Lincoln offices?
Well, obviously you're with the customer, so it's very different. You get to see the other side, if you will. There are some customers that I thought they could do no wrong, so you really get to see kind of the inner workings. Like, oh, I get it now why you can't do this or why you do it this way. So just being able to see the other side is huge, and be able to share that insight with the team here. Like, hey, how can we work with this, knowing that these are their limitations, or knowing that this is how their system works. So that was always fun to me, kind of figure out that puzzle. How do we win with that customer?
And I'm sure those experiences too, when you were working offsite, for lack of a better term, or a different location, you bring those experiences back to corporate, and that's got to be invaluable too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, being at General Mills, we focus a lot on continuous improvement. So these 1-point lessons we have flying around everywhere, that's where that came from. I brought that back from General Mills, and we were able to implement that some here. So just little things like that, it goes a long way.
I know we were doing this thing earlier today with the emphasis was on women in trucking. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you about women in trucking and what you've seen over your career. What is it like for women in trucking now compared to what it was when you were an intern just fresh out of college?
It's very different. I think there's still a lot of opportunity. You still get people in your equal positions, or there's just not a lot of people in transportation at this level that are women. So when you are dealing with somebody on the other side, they may find it's unique or a different perspective, but it's come a long ways from when I started. You see a lot more women in those roles, which I think is great. Even within our organization, we've had so many women move up into different roles within our team, which is super fun for me to see.
Yeah, it must be. It must be rewarding.
Oh, absolutely.
That you're a part of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you like to do when you're not working?
Oh boy, so I coach 16 and under girls softball right now. I've coached with the head. I'm an assistant coach. I've coached with the head coach here. We've known each other for most of our lives. We've coached them since they were 8 and under. So we've got a couple more years until they're done with softball. So we're trying to put our last few years in with them. So that's a lot of my summer. I also am a reseller. So I've sold on Amazon and Poshmark and Mercari. So buy and sell goods, buy them and then sell them on eBay and Poshmark. It's a fun thing that I like to do.
You can't get enough of moving retail around during the day.
Yeah,
you got to do that at night.
I got to do it in my off hours too. But yeah, it's a fun side hustle that I have. And again,
so you're mailing and doing all that kind of stuff,
yep.
And
so go
fulfilling orders and
yep, whole nine.
Wow.
So
Does that take up a lot of time?
it does. It does. It's the amount of time you put in is what you get out of it, obviously. So, yeah, it's been fun.
That's really interesting. How did you get started doing that?
So we've seen it. Me and my sister were actually looking at a couple things and saw that people were doing it. Like, well, that's interesting. We started doing it. We actually started out with clothing. There's a big market out there for used clothing, especially more designer, higher end clothes. So we would shop for those higher end clothes that we know were desirable, and then flip them for profit. So
wow. My hero. I got to have a conversation, take notes a little bit later on. So now you're the vice president of operations. You're a very key role here at Crete. What do you want to do next?
Oh, it's a very good question. This is the longest I've probably been in a position at Crete. There's still so much more to learn. There's other roles I've been in where like, okay, I've kind of figured this out. But this role, it's always something new. There's always a new economy to deal with. There's always, I really enjoy process improvement, continuous improvement. How can we do better? How can we be better? That's always been my goal and my strive. And there's always opportunity for that. So it's fun, learning from the people on the front line that, they won't hesitate to say, hey, this is, we can do this better, or we can do this different. So being able to take those ideas and help the team out and push the team forward, I think is really fun. I enjoy it.
So just walk me through the decision where you're 22, you're out of college. Are you a full-time employee here yet, or are you still an intern?
Yep, right. I got a job right when I graduated.
Right when you graduated.
I graduated on a Saturday, and I started on a Monday.
Is that right? You didn't go to Cabo or anything like that?
No, unfortunately, no.
But was there a struggle in your head? I just got this degree in psychology. I should probably go put that to use. How do I do that on a truck?
So I had gone through the routes with psychology, and I had worked with Crete, and jobs weren't easy to come by then. I honestly at that point was happy to have a position, and I was very excited. I worked for John Huey when he was here, and I was very excited to work for John. I liked working for him when I was an intern, so that was part of my decision. I liked what I was doing, and I wanted to be able to do more what others were doing. So yeah, that's what really drove my decision. I kind of after that didn't look back. There was just opportunities laid before me to continue to move with the company. So
you wake up one day and you've been here 25 years.
Yeah, that's basically how it works.
Wow.
It's crazy to believe.
That's great, but you must like it here because you don't stay somewhere you don't like. You've had a lot of opportunities, obviously, but you must like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. There's no other industry like this. Every day is truly different. There are no 2 days that are ever the same. I might come across some of the same issues, but the way I solve it's going to be different today than it was yesterday, and every day's a puzzle. And I'm a very analytical person, so being able to put that puzzle together every day is super fun for me.
So you're just playing Wordle all day?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you caught me.
All right, I got a couple more questions. These are a lot easier because you don't have to bare your soul or anything. You told me, I find this hard to believe. You played professional football?
Yep, I played professional women's football. When I lived out in Pennsylvania, I played professional women's football. We were Philadelphia Phoenix at that time. I think we started out, we were the WNFL, and then I think that some name rights issues, and then they became a different league at that point. But yeah, I played 3 seasons, I think, for them. So we were part of a conference in the Northeast. So we would play Virginia, Mass, Maine, Connecticut, New York, that whole region.
Was there a Super Bowl or anything of that equivalent for that league?
There is, and there were some teams that did get paid. Unfortunately, we were not one of them. We got travel expenses and things paid, but not actually paid players. But we did have some teams that do, and I'm sure it's still around today. There are still leagues, women's leagues around today. I think there's actually a team in Omaha. So there are actually teams around. There are teams that actually do get paid now. But yeah, Super Bowl, whole nine. It's straight regular football, tackle football, just all
What was your position?
I played offensive and defensive tackle.
Good grief.
So
That's I don't care who he is. That's a rough position.
yeah, no, it was an eye opener.
You didn't get any injuries or anything, did you?
No. I might have caused a few, but no, I didn't get any.
That's fortunate. That's really fascinating, though.
Yeah, it was super fun.
And what years would this have been?
Oh gosh, probably 2000 and between 5 and 8, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Probably around 2005.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I didn't know Omaha had a team or anything like that. So there is stuff around here, but I had no idea.
Yeah.
And there you are on the East Coast.
Most people don't know it's a thing.
Wow. All right, basketball question. You're in touch and in tune with basketball. Heats, Nuggets, what's going on?
I don't do NBA.
You don't do NBA at all?
I don't. I used to love the NBA, and
you're out?
I'm out.
I feel that way about women's football. I just won't watch it anymore. I want to thank you for listening and watching today, the Meet Crete podcast. This was a fun one. And if you clicked on the link to get here today, just a reminder, you can find all of our podcasts on the Crete Carrier YouTube channel. We'll be back to find out more about the people we work with inside Crete Carrier and Shaffer Trucking in the next episode of Meet Crete.